Saudações a todos os amigos, espero que estejam bem. Nessa segunda parte da entrevista do Alex Collier ao Dr. Salla, veremos mais detalhes de como se dará a queda do estado profundo. Para quem não assistiu a primeira parte, que fala sobre os catalisadores do despertar, recomendo assistir o vídeo anterior a esse. Continuando sobre o vídeo de hoje, Dr. Salla e Alex decorrem sobre quais ações podemos esperar que o estado profundo tem chance de fazer ou não. Entre elas destacamos: a última cartada do Deep State seria a falsa invasão alienígena? Qual a verdade sobre o uso dos clones? Colapso do sistema financeiro é inevitável? E por último, a cura depois da queda. Vamos então ao primeiro tópico. Seria a falsa invasão alienígena a última cartada do Deep State? Dr. Michael Salla coloca alguns pontos de vista à mesa e questiona Alex sobre vários assuntos, desde guerras, intraterrenos, projeto Bluebeam, etc. Mas Alex explica o ponto principal dessa questão. Vamos ver.
I'm wondering, what do you think is going to be the next major card the Deep State is playing? I mean, clearly they're trying to contrive a major wars in Ukraine. They're trying to contrive a major war, Israel, Palestine, and there's a lot of pushback, and there's sensible people that are containing that. So, do you think we are going to see this kind of fake alien invasion card that Werner von Braun um, warned about? He told Carol Rosen about that, I mean, he went through the whole sequence of first they would do the Cold War, the Russian threat, then they would go talk about rogue actors, and then it would be the terrorist threat, and then it would be the asteroid. And then when they played all those cards, they would go with this false flag alien invasion. So, I mean, they haven't played the asteroid card, but it doesn't seem that that's a card that many people are going to bite at. So, are we on the verge of that? I mean, and is it going to be like we're being invaded by extraterrestrials, or are they going to spin it to catch us off guard to make it look like we're being invaded by these mysterious inner Earth beings?
You mean Project Bluebeam and things of that nature as well, right? You're including that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. There are several really good intelligence droppers that are sharing a lot of information that pretty much consistently are saying that the white hats are forcing the deep state's last move. They're now forcing the issue. They're pushing them fully into the corner because they want to end this. They're like, we're all done with this bullshit. Do they have the ability to pull off a fake alien invasion? I don't think so, Michael. If it were to happen, it would be something that the White Hats and the Alliance would allow to happen. And for the life of me, I can't understand why putting us deeper into fear is a solution, is a positive thing to do. Because it's traumatic. It will be a traumatic experience. And has not humanity already got enough post-traumatic stress from all the shit that we've had to deal with? So, could they use Bluebeam? Maybe it's possible that they would do that. Would they actually use the deep state, use their own ships? How do you do that when you've got Solar Warden and the entire solar system full of Alliance craft? How do you pull something like that off without them standing back and allowing it to happen? And what would be the reasoning to allow that to happen? There are many, many ways to unite the planet. One way would be to totally come clean about what's happening to the children.
One of the
Interessante o Alex explicar esse ponto relacional dos pequenos, que poderia unir o planeta, pois é justamente sobre isso que estamos vendo as maiores divulgações acontecendo. Vide casos recentes que não posso mencionar aqui. Em seguida, eles conversam sobre qual a verdade relacionada ao uso dos clones. Vamos ver.
One of the things that I talked about, this was my very last webinar, and as I was doing the research for that, I just found it was amazing all the references of the cloning facilities in the underground laboratories, in the
Right.
deep underground military bases. They've been cloning super soldiers, they've been cloning program life forms, they've been working out how to animate these with soul extracts or fragments or AI to create armies, clone armies that they could just pop out of the ground at any time and deploy for a kind of an event, a false flag event. And to me, this actually makes sense in terms of, you know, the deep state wanting to play a card, a kind of like play a card that like sets humanity back. Because one of the things I've been getting from JP over the last couple of years now with all his mission reports is that every time he visits an underground civilization, they've all been telling him the same thing. You know, we're getting ready to reveal ourselves to humanity. We are getting ready to have more humans come
Right.
into the underground civilizations. We're wanting to show our spacecraft because it's the time for surface humanity and the underground civilizations to connect. Well, if the deep state knows this, and the white hats know this, and of course, the White Hats, the Earth Alliance want this to happen because that's part of the awakening process. But the deep state, what they could do to kind of thwart this or to kind of like sidetrack it would be to like unleash their clone armies in these dumbs that they have built over the last few decades and just like create pandemonium because you know you look at all these illegal immigrants that have flooded into the United States, into Europe. I mean, they're the perfect cover for clones to infiltrate society, to be prepositioned so that when the word is given, bang, these clones and like terrorists can just go into action and just create mayhem and chaos. So you know that's my kind of take that yeah, the deep state still has the wherewithal, not to, I don't think, I agree. I don't think they have the wherewithal to stage a alien invasion because, like you said, the solar system's full of alliance ships and positive ETs. But as far as the inner Earth is concerned, you know, there's still got a lot of stuff there that hasn't been cleaned out yet. So anyway, your take on
Right.
that.
Well, it's a process. It's a process, and they have to train people, troops, and forces to go in there. And fighting underground is very different than the surface. And what they're going to find underground is it's tragic. I don't think there's any other word for it. But let's go back to the clones. There are clones already on the surface, and I know you know that. But the thing is that they have a limited aura. They're easy to spot. All right, because the aura is just here. It's just around the head. It's not full body. So they're easy to spot. Many cities have street lights that have the ability to see into they have cameras that are able to see into the infrared range, and they can see who's authentic, an authentic human, a soulful human, and who's not. We also have the church, and I've talked about this a couple times. The church, the Catholic Church, the Vatican specifically, has its own cloning facilities, and they were allowing demonic energies that were working for the Vatican to attach for a period of time to some of these clones. And the clones, these demonics, their energy field is a line right down the spine. That's how you know who they are. You can tell from the cloning, the microprocessor in the head or the demon. Okay, because the demon attaches specifically to the nervous system and will use the body to rape, to do whatever it does. And that's basically their reward for doing whatever it was that they did for the Vatican, for the church, or the Jesuits, whatever, however you want to. Well, really, we should just say the Jesuits, probably, right?
Right.
So, they know, and they can see that on the cameras. It's just that you need special teams of people who are trained to do this. And you also need military personnel that are exorcists to be able to capture the demons. And there's, I believe that there's a process of removing them. I haven't been read into that part yet, but maybe wherever this goes, those people who do know will reach out to you and say, hey, I want to add this piece to you for you to have, because that's how this works. Nobody wants to be the first to talk about this because they don't want to look touched. So of course, we're way past the touch part. So, but that they do know. It's just, there's so many fronts that they've been dealing with that, the decision has been made that the human element has to be dealt with first, because that's the biggest threat to humanity, is that small human element that's clinically insane. So they have to deal with that. And I think what's going to happen with the clones is that I think a large portion of them will be taken out by military. But as far as the demonic piece, I think they are going to give us a hand with that at a specific time. And what that timing is, I don't specifically know. It could be they're already doing it. I don't know.
Vários pontos relevantes mencionados nesse tópico, inclusive sobre clones serem utilizados por entidades demoníacas. Não recordo de ter visto essa informação em nenhum outro lugar. Agora, uma das partes mais importantes, que é um assunto intrinsecamente ligado ao nosso dia a dia, e que não se trata de nada exótico ou intangível. É sobre o colapso do sistema financeiro. Dr. Salla traz os acontecimentos que JP expôs em uma das missões, e Alex explica sobre os fundamentos do que seria inevitável ou não. Vamos conferir.
I wanted to kind of touch upon and get your reaction to it. And that's a mission that JP did. And it concerns the impending financial collapse. And in this mission, this was kind of like at the beginning of this year, he was taken to an underground castle in a frozen region of the planet. And he says that some deal had been reached where it looked like some inner Earth civilization had agreed to allowing all the gold that was stored in this castle that was some kind of vault, an inner Earth underground vault. And apparently there was just an enormous quantity of gold there. And he described them as being shaped like frisbees, each one weighing about 25 pounds. And he said that these were being loaded on container ships, on container crates. And these crates, each one had a marking for different countries. And so apparently this was some kind of agreement had been reached for this gold to make its way to different countries. So that takes me to this kind of impending financial collapse that, many of the best financial analysts are saying that the US dollar's done. Its days are marked. It's going to collapse soon. So given that the dollar is about to collapse, and this is something that the deep state has contrived to, I guess, another nasty card in their playbook, that on the other hand, the White Hats, the Earth Alliance, has arranged for enough of this gold to be to go to different countries so that countries can immediately go into launch a gold-backed currency. Because I believe From memory, it's about you need to have like in order to have a gold-backed currency, you need to have about 10% of the overall economy has to be, or that currency has to be gold that can be converted, and that enables a gold-backed currency to be traded internationally. So is that what lies ahead? I know you've done a lot of work on this, the collapse of the dollar, and we're moving to a gold-backed currency. So what do you think of that?
Well, I'll be happy to share my thoughts on that. Let's go back to the castle in the disc-shaped, frisbee-taped gold articles. When you said that, one of the first things that popped into my head was, remember the wing makers? The caves where they had the gold discs that had all this information on it. I'm wondering if there's a similarity. If they're not just plates of gold, but there's actual information encoded in those. That's why they're marked for each country, because each gold plate or disc has a specific purpose to a specific country or part of that world, part of the world, like a history maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's sometimes always more to it than we are told on the surface. Now, as far as the financial system, the fiat system was always meant to be a slave system. Always. Now, the US dollar, the Federal Reserve note, is a private currency. It was never the currency of the United States. It was a private banking cartel's paper. That's why we had to borrow it and give them treasuries in order to borrow it, because it wasn't our currency. If it was our own currency, why would we have to pay interest on it? That's number one. Number two, the energy of the dollar is loaded with dark arcade symbolism. And they were very clever to hide it throughout the notes. But nonetheless, it's still there. So that, in fact, was another manipulation. Three, in order to completely destroy the cabal and the deep state, you have to return them to zero. There is nothing about this system that is worth keeping, especially on an energetic level, because of its original intent, which was to enslave humanity. The other, Michael, is this. When we borrowed $100 from the Federal Reserve, we were charged anywhere from 4 to 6% interest. The interest money was never printed. No matter how much anybody borrowed, they never printed the interest. So how do you pay back the interest? You would have to take the money from some other place. So that means that some other place would then have to borrow more money to cover the interest. So it's a perpetual debt machine, enslaving humanity for infinity, or as long as that system stood. It was a very clever move by the deep state to make that the world's reserve currency. Okay, that process, because it forced everybody in the world to use it to buy specific things, especially energy. That was a massive manipulation. Yes, the United States benefited from it, but its intention was to enslave humanity. Most Americans don't even know this. In fact, to this day, I have arguments with people about the Federal Reserve not being federal. It's not a government agency. And I tell them to go to a phone book, if you still have one, and look up US government. You will not see the Federal Reserve listed there, because it's not a government agency. It's a private corporation. which also created the Internal Revenue Service, by the way, which is a Puerto Rican corporation. Okay. Department of the Treasury is not a private, is not a government agency. It's private as well. So, there's all these things where we have to educate people about what really is. And even though I don't go there anymore, but anyway, the point is, yes, the entire world is moving back to a gold standard because it's stable, it's authentic, it's genuine. But this will be the last financial system humanity uses. At some point, we will reach a place of consciousness where we are going to say to the governments, why do we have to pay to live on a planet we were born on? We will get to a place where all of our specific needs will be localized. We will not have to pay for it.
Considerando tudo isso que o Alex explicou, gostaria de lembrar que ainda estamos em guerra, e às vezes a aliança tem que prosseguir com algumas narrativas para que o estado profundo não se antecipe a toda a estratégia planejada. Não fiquemos preocupados com aparentes mensagens conflitantes sobre esse assunto. E agora, por último, uma palavra de sabedoria que Alex traz e que pode nos ajudar a encontrar a cura, principalmente depois da queda dos trevosos, pois novas divulgações mais pesadas serão feitas. Vamos ver.
Or when the deep state is defeated in the US, the deep state is exposed and the white hats launch their operations and everything's exposed. I think you're right that this is going to be the trigger event for the deep state to be removed in China, Israel, and South America, everywhere. It'll be a global thing. And Xi will be able to get rid of his deep state because look what the Americans did. This is what we're going to do. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. And that kind of reminds us that this really is a global awakening. It's a consciousness event. It's just not one or two or critical people making it happen. It's just like the collective consciousness of humanity is like, yep, we're ready for this. Deep state, you're the hard shell holding us back. Goodbye, crack, and off we go. We fly out into the stars.
Right. Well, the Earth is a living organism, and we are part of that living organism. And it's not healthy right now. But, the minute we all come together and we change our frequency, the whole organism benefits and becomes more healthy. And it heals. The thing about trauma and things like that is that, sometimes the pain lingers. But when you reach a level of consciousness or perspective about what's happened in the past, even though the pain is still there, you're not controlled by it anymore. And because you're not controlled by the pain, you begin to make different decisions. And you begin to move beyond the pain because your focus now is not on the pain, but it's on creating something that everybody wants, that everybody can share. And, that's why, many extraterrestrial civilizations are so healed, because they're unified in what they want. Yes, everybody has their own individual thing, but it's always in alignment with what the consciousness of the civilization wants and is. And, if they can do it, we can do it. I mean, look at us on a soul level. We're them. We're them. We're already a hybrid civilization here. A lot of folks forget that, and I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. We're already a hybrid civilization, and hybrid civilizations out there are living in peace. They're exploring. They're evolving. They're magnificent, and there's absolutely no reason we can't be either. We just have to get out of our own way. And that basically that means we have to figure some shit out. And, what's coming cannot be stopped. It's coming anyway. It's a freight train.
Awesome. That's a great way to finish up our little chin waggle here. So,
Resumindo, essa entrevista abrangeu muitos assuntos contemporâneos e importantes à nossa comunidade, e não poderia deixar de passá-los. Como vimos, na primeira fase foi necessária a exposição do estado profundo, para assim aumentar o nível de consciência da população. Em seguida, teremos a retirada daqueles que se recusam a sintonizar nas novas frequências que o planeta está entrando. Nada pode parar o que está por vir. É isso por enquanto, pessoal. Continuemos na luta, sempre fazendo nossa parte. Até o próximo vídeo. Saudações a todos.